The world as we have it is the most connected in our entire history. With digital technology, we're at a stage in our life where I can speak to someone across the world. I can access information from another side of the globe. And yet the digital technology divide, especially in low-income countries, continues to manifest. This is especially true in regards to women. Women of not just low-income background, but women of all kinds of backgrounds. So today the conversation we dissect is how does the digital technology divide manifest especially in women? What are the effects of it all? And how exactly are we going to go around addressing this issue? With me today, I have a very illustrious panel, experts in their field, to talk about this very interesting topic. I shall introduce them from my extreme left coming in. We have Miss Sandra Kwikiriza, the ED of Her Internet. Welcome, Sandra. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you too.
You can say hi to the viewers.
Hello everyone. I'm so happy to be part of this conversation. Obviously, issues around the digital divide are very important to myself, but also to the work that I do. And our work at Her Internet is really steeped in feminist principles of the internet, but we are also working directly around issues of online violence and how that affects us, access to information, freedom of speech, freedom of expression online and offline, and just kind of studying the impact of the online-offline continuum. So I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
We're very glad to have you. Next to her in the middle, we have Miss Yasimn Ahmed from Femtech Law Initiative. Good afternoon, Yasimn.
Good afternoon. Hi everyone. So I am one of the co-founders for Femtech Law Initiative, which basically handles the safety of women and children online. Yeah, and we're also looking at digital literacy, especially for women. Yeah, and I feel for me that was a very passionate stand, especially for children, because as we know, this being Uganda, they're not usually a priority when it comes to online activity and everything. So yeah, that's what Femtech is all about.
Lovely to have you. And then right next to me, we have Miss Beatrice Kayaga from Internet Society. Welcome, Beatrice. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you so much for, first of all, inviting us to this space to be able to talk about pertinent issues that is the internet, because it's now the thing that is literally where our day-to-day lives are encompassed. So I'm Kayaga Beatrice. I work with the Internet Society Uganda chapter, and our work is basically ensuring that the internet is safe and everyone has access to the internet regardless of their location, regardless of their background, abilities or disabilities. So basically that is where our work is, to ensure that this thing called the internet is accessible, available and affordable for every person who may need it for whatever purposes.
Lovely. I think it is quite clear that what we have are complete experts in their field. I'm very excited to engage in this conversation. My name is Turiho Danita. Good afternoon and welcome to Women Speaking. So jumping straight into this conversation, Beatrice, I'll start with you. Just to give us an understanding of what the digital divide is, how it's manifesting, especially in women, and just start us off with this.
Thank you so much. To the person viewing this conversation or listening in, I should understand the fact that the internet is now one of the things that is connecting the entire world. Like you said in your introduction, that I can be here, I communicate with someone in the US and whichever side of the world they could be, and this could be through me using my technology that is available to me. And we saw this, that COVID-19 reminded us the importance of technology, why we should be paying attention to the tech industry, why we should be basically connected on the internet, because it changed the way we were doing our work, our day-to-day work. Meaning everything we were doing online. We were working online, we were studying online, the kids had online education. Besides working online, everything was literally online. We were buying everything using our mobile apps, you couldn't move to the market. So you're like, okay, now the border people who are a little bit given access to be able to move around, I can order something on the online. I can trade in the online spaces. So COVID-19 literally woke us up. Okay, for Uganda.
Okay,
Let me
it's
say for
catapulted.
Uganda.
I would like to use the word catapult because like
Yeah.
we're already using the internet, but to a lower level. So it's like imagine if you're using it at 20% and then now you have like to use it at 80% because like everything we were doing before, we now had to migrate. And yes, for the market people, they had to like open like, you know, apps like where they could like sell their things. Like the farmers had to find ways to sell their produce. Remember, this is produce that gets spoiled. Yeah, so if they kept it, it wouldn't work out. For schools, they had to learn how to hold classes online. And kids needed to learn how to use gadgets and, you know, to access their classes and their work online. You had communication. You had to check on your relatives. You couldn't visit them anymore, so you had to make sure that, you know, they were connected, you were connected. The boredom alone, we had to alleviate boredom.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, in as much as we were using the internet before, we were not using it as much as we are using it now post-COVID. Yeah. So in as much as that was a great thing, but it has come with its own challenges and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. So Beatrice, we've started using the internet much more, but women, where do women stand in all this?
Yes. In as much as we're using the internet much more, we find that certain people, women basically, and persons with disabilities, you know, sometimes when we talk about the gender divide, sometimes we restrict these issues to women, but then let us look at people, persons with disabilities as well. How many of them have you seen freely use the internet, have access to the internet? So basically, connectivity after or during COVID-19 became a very fundamental thing. However, with the divide, we still had certain people who were unable to access the internet by virtue of their location, their ability to afford that, the phones, later on even the data. So when we are looking at the digital divide, where do we say that the divide has been exacerbated by the advancement in technology? Is where we see that the internet, first of all, or even the digital technologies are available. Are they available for the day-to-day Ugandan to use? What does availability mean to me, yet I don't have access? So we are looking at the divide being widened in those areas. For example, availability. Do we have infrastructure that is available to help the people within the far-to-reach areas access the internet? Here we are looking at Uganda. We have 2 internet exchange points that are basically known. We know the rest of our internet, we access it through the telecommunication companies, that is Airtel, MTN, we have Leica, we have a number of those. But again, how far do they reach within the village areas, right? We know as we are going up country, they're like, let's work.
At a certain point, you know.
In fact, we even send regards like, I'm sorry,
I'm
I'm
be off for a bit.
So that is availability. That is one of the gaps, one of where we see that our divide is being widened. Why? Because we don't have enough infrastructure to help people within the far-to-reach areas access the internet, be able to harness the technology that is available to them for their, you know, well-being. Then we look at accessibility, because they could be available. For example, there is women who could have phones, but they can't use them.
Digital literacy.
That's where literacy comes into play. That it is very fundamental for women, children, all people to be able to be digitally literate. Why? We could have these technologies before us, actually, and we can't harness them for our benefit. When last year, Uganda unveiled the digital transformation roadmap. And Pillar 4 is basically on digital skills. And here, Uganda envisions a young population that is able to harness the technologies that is before them. And so we should see this translate even in our curriculums in schools, that digital skilling is given more emphasis than also other subjects.
The Canadian parents.
Yes, because when we look at our divide still, we shall find that the older generation, they can't use the phones before them, let alone the phones. Let's not speak about the computer, but the phone, the smartphones alone. You find that young people in our communities are able to use, some are able to use their
phones.
Yes, their phones, the technologies before them freely. But however, there is a bigger gap between the young people and the old people in our communities. But again, when we come back to accessibility, we shall find that men, in terms of skills, they are more likely to be digitally literate compared to the women.
Why is that?
This comes back to our communities. The social and cultural norms that surround issues to do with technology. Some people believe this is evil. It has come to the end of the world. They are reading the Bible so much, and they're saying the world has come to an end.
Doesn't mention a cell phone.
No, when they talk about the chip, when they talk about the chip,
the chip.
okay, in Revelations, there is where they say, or there be a chip where you can't buy without that chip. So for some people, when they hear about this technology, they'll go as far as saying, this is the technology that we talk about. So there is those norms that surround.
Actually, like to add to what she's saying, when it comes to cultural aspects, there's even that the most obvious one being this is a men's thing, it's not a women's thing. There's the stereotypes. Women are supposed to be in the kitchen. If I give you a phone, you're not going to do your job. I don't even know why it's called a job, but I like personally feel like yes,
because
but
it is work. Hair work is work.
It is, but I feel like no, they actually do not see it as you doing anything. It's supposed to just something you're programmed to be doing. So it's one of the things that in our culture I feel like needs a shift, because we still have the chauvinistic tendencies where it's a man's thing, it's not a woman's thing. If I give a woman a phone, she's going to get partners. I'm not even saying this lightly because I've had it. I had to give an example, I had a cousin, she was getting married. And they're like, no, you're going to you should give us your phone. And they're like, why? And she might get spoiled by phone 9. And I'm like, these people can spoil you right next to you. I don't know what you mean. Also, why do you think a woman would get spoiled and a man won't? And you see, it's things like this mentality that a man is guaranteed access to specific things, yet a woman is not. These stereotypes are still very, very much existent here in Africa, in Uganda in particular. And you see, most people are like, nah, it's the 21st century, we've moved on. You have moved on. You're privileged to live in a family that sees it as an okay thing for you to have a cell phone. But there's families where they cannot give the girl, they'll give the boy a phone, but they won't give the girl a phone. Yes, they will send the guy to study computer, but they will never send the girl to. You get. So these stereotypes, this mentality of a boy needs to do this, or like a boy is going to look after a family. That's not what a girl does. So they don't need this information. I'm so sorry, but they do need this information. And a girl, in the economy that we have, I feel like everybody has a part and a role to play. So if I feel like this is disabling someone. If you make sure someone does not acquire the skills they need, especially now where everything is online, government services are online, you do your shopping, you communicate with people across all of these things are online right now, and it is only going to get worse because right now it's still 60-40 to some people, but at some point it's going to be fully like automated.
Yeah.
Yes. Where we're going is going to be, so if you're disabling a person by failing to give these people the opportunity, availing them the opportunity to acquire these skills, these literacy skills, you are disabling them. Eventually, it's going to come a time when they truly need to, put this into action or to do something, and they won't be able to. And it's going to be your fault because you were biased from the beginning.
If I may, just
definitely.
kind of compliment on that. When we talk about the digital divide, we can't not talk about the cost of accessing the internet or
Very
accessing
much so.
technology, right? The cost of internet bundles is really, really high, especially here in Uganda compared to our neighboring countries and the entire region. But also the cost of accessing good quality smart devices, a smartphone or a computer or a laptop. And access doesn't even mean ownership, right? It could be that from where you come from, there's like a couple of people who have smartphones who are most likely to be men, because also access is very gendered in this like patriarchal heteronormative world that we live in. It's very gendered. So when you talk about the digital divide, for me, I automatically think about the cost, right? In a community or a country where women are disproportionately affected by the economic effects that we all feel, but because of literacy levels, both like curriculum, education literacy, but also digital literacy levels, and the cost of accessing that kind of education, also goes into factoring into widening the digital divide, but also issues around care work, which we've already kind of alluded to, issues around care work, which obviously falls on the shoulders of women in the home, means that they have less resources, but also less time to engage with technology, even when they have the phones, even when they have access to phones or access to computers. They spend we spend so much of our time doing care work. And if you are a career woman as well, and you have a 9 to 5, an 8 to 5, you have to go back home and like literally unplug and wear another uniform for care work, right?
Take care of the kids, do the dishes, cook, everything.
Like deal with the children's homework, but also like find time for your partner, because patriarchy, the patriarchy
she's on the phone all the time, she doesn't have time for me.
And also like that whole notion of, if women are on the phones, they are probably getting online suitors, or I'm like, no, I'm literally chatting up with my friends because it's been a minute, right?
There's even the mere fact that I'm gonna go online, I'm gonna check my email. I was expecting an email from Beatrice.
Thank you very much, right? Like, it's a multitude of things that you're doing online, but because of the patriarchy and other oppressive systems within which technology is also like existing, we are unable to completely close the divide. I wanted to touch on issues around access away from cost, also infrastructure, and Beatrice had mentioned this earlier. So infrastructure also plays a big role. When we talk about the urban-rural divide, it's a huge deal, when infrastructure is concentrated within the cities and the urban areas. The farther you go away from the urban, the worse the signal is. There is no connectivity. And then there is areas in this country of ours that are not connected to the national electricity grid.
Yes.
Right?
And no electricity
so then,
equals no internet.
If there is no electricity, there is no internet, but also how do you use your phone if you have to
even if you decided
charge it
to
from
give
miles
everybody
away, right?
Like a free device.
So infrastructure also, in terms of electricity and actual cables, also comes in. Then literacy levels are the difference in literacy levels between men and women is also alluding to the whole patriarchal heteronormative system we live in, where IT or tech is considered a man's world, right? So as a girl or as a woman who is watching this and is wondering how are all these ladies then sit into the tech and internet field, it's not just a man's world. We can all do it, and we must all be connected, or at least be able to get to access that information whenever we need it. But then there's also the other issue kind of widening the digital divide around the risk of experiencing online harm. And the risk of experiencing online harm also disproportionately affects women. When we add other structurally silenced communities of women to this equation, it's even worse. You know, for example, women with disability, queer women, sex workers, right, who are already marginalized and minoritized by the system, right, especially in our context in Uganda, in Africa. Then that just widens the gap, because their risk of experiencing online harm is much worse than an average woman.
Actually, to add to that, when it comes to online gender-based violence, you have most people are like, no, everybody gets cyber harassment, everyone gets cyberbullying. Well, it makes you think that women are special, or women like should be treated in a better. I'm like, yeah, everybody does, but women have it worse. Yeah, they have it worse. And not only, you're already facing biases elsewhere, but if you go online and then you get bullied there, you will not feel comfortable to go back. Yeah, at the end of the day, people still have digital rights. Yes, and when you go online and you bully someone, you are in essence violating their rights. Yeah. So people are like, no, but you guys are just sensitive. No, it's not about being sensitive. Yeah, I have the right to not be harassed online. Yeah, and when you're talking online harassment, I'm not even just talking about people who like, you know, insult you or whatever. There is sexual harassment online. Yes, and people feel like if I send you my nude pic, it's okay as long as it's not yours. My friend, did I ask for it? Yeah, people feel the need to send you unsolicited sexual information, and when you react, they're like, it's a you problem. You're the one with the problem. No. No, this is like there is something called the digital identity. Yes, and I can choose how I feel to represent myself online and what information I want to take in. So if you come to my inbox and you're like, so Yasimn, I think you're pretty, we should go out sometime, or I want to like have sex with you, and I go like, no, and then you persist to send me sexual information. Or before like you even say anything, you send me like a nude pic. What am I supposed to do with that information? There's people who get psychologically affected by that. So this all affects women online. Online gender-based violence is actually a very, very big issue. Not just, and you see, we've mostly seen it when it comes to like public figures, because the people you know. So it's more obvious when it happens to them. But people have no idea how much worse it is for people who are not public figures, because people know, like, what are you going to do about it? Yeah. So I feel like this is, of course, we have things in the law that can actually help people who are facing cyber harassment and cyberbullying. Obviously, because the Electronic Transactions Act, the Computer Misuse Act, have a lot of this to deal with what they call digital crimes. The only problem with our legal system is, one, people don't trust it. We don't have a lot of faith in our justice system. The first thing when you tell someone you need to go go and report this, someone is sexually harassing someone you know, and you're like, oh, you should go to the and report it. The first thing they're going to be like, what are they going to do about it? Like everyone's like, what are they going to do? Because people actually don't trust the legal system, the justice system, and on top of that, the evidence can magically just disappear. So that's like you can go and like they take down everything, and then you're like, okay, now also there's the anonymity problem and everything when it comes to like prosecuting such crimes. People have like online names that are not their names.
They are government names,
So when you take this and like now the issue is now figuring out who the
person is.
Then of course you have jurisdictional boundaries and everything. What happens if the person is like in the US and you're like in Uganda and they're like sexually harassing you? Yeah, of course we've also now gotten something like, not now, but you get there's also sextortion now. Yeah, where someone extorts money from you based on like your sexual So
that could have been obtained with or without your consent.
Even through coercion and everything. So I feel like all of these are very huge issues that women deal with on a daily basis, because I would like to be like, I don't know if any of you have like gone online and not faced any type of like harassment. You haven't?
Oh no, I have.
I was gonna be very surprised. I was
kid.
gonna be surprised because the minute, like as a woman, the minute you go online, you're going to face one form of harassment or another. Whether it's someone who's gonna insult you because you're a woman and apparently you're airheaded because, or you're a feminist because feminists face a lot of oh my god. Recently, to put this into context, Shiba got pregnant and like it came out and someone literally puts her picture and tags it and goes like, this is why you should never trust feminists. I'm like, what does her pregnancy have to do with
her being feminist, right?
I'm like, who said that feminists don't get pregnant and like they don't, like we are what? I was like, all I could say was like I actually did quote it because it was a tweet and I go like, I wish people actually understood what feminism is
all about. Yeah.
But you know, like we actually face a lot of backlash because of, you know, the minute you identify as like a feminist or you identify as, it becomes a big issue. So as a woman, you get, if you're not mentally prepared or if you do not have a strong mental disposition, you're going to get discouraged and you're going to go offline, which makes this digital divide even bigger because these people are going to go switch off completely. And you're like, you know what, I just can't do this anymore.
And what's worse is, sorry, just one thing. What's worse is when young girls see this happen to people they look up to or people who are older than them, automatically from that level they disengage. They disengage, and that's what's also keeping us in this cycle of the divide not being bridged. Because they disengage from that level and say, I will never be a feminist or publicly identify with feminism. I will never tweet. Oh, I don't know what they post.
I don't know. I just don't call it tweeting because it's so easy. It's much easier to just say that.
Like because they know that women who've been vocal on Twitter, on X, have faced some kind of backlash. So they're like, you know what? I'll just scroll and never post.
No, the first time I was going on Twitter, before it became X anyway, Twitter, someone was like, be careful. Like, be careful, Twitter is a crazy space. You have like people bully you all the time. I'm like, people make a actual choice. This is an actual choice someone makes to bully someone else. So I feel like when it comes to digital literacy, people not only do we need to make internet safe for women, we need to teach people that some of their actions have consequences. Their actions affect other people. So just because people feel like if I send a bad comment, it's just a comment. You have no idea how it's affecting somebody else, or how they're going to take it, or what mental position they're in by the time you send something like that. So I feel like if you don't have anything nice to say, just leave it alone.
So in addition to security in the online spaces, we've seen that our violence escalates most of the times from, it could be from the physical spaces into the online spaces and vice versa. And that is why we say that nowadays violence is on a continuum. We don't know at what level you're going to experience this nature of violence. For example, this comes, we've had cases where people use AirTags to track down other people, more so women. So this is targeting in such a way that women's safety, privacy in the online spaces is now limited. Why? Because there are no mechanisms in place, or even where the mechanisms are, they're not sufficient to protect the women in the online spaces. They'll tell you, okay, you have control over who responds to your posts. But then even when you look at reporting mechanisms on that Twitter, who knows where to go if at all someone has told you?
No, if at all you see that reporting mechanism? I have reported like 3 or 4 times. To date, I have not gotten like a response. Yeah, they're actually not quick about it. I don't know if like because we're in Uganda and we don't.
We're in Uganda.
Their content moderation in Uganda is rubbish. Like you literally recently, because of the Didi case, someone posted, you know, like there was a picture of Didi with like a minor, and it was like very defamatory for, like it was a sex something about the minor, and someone posted it and I'm like, yo, this is not acceptable. This is a minor in this, you know, video, in this. Why? So I actually make a report about it. That was, I think, a month ago.
Oh,
I have had nothing from them till now.
and the account is still
Yeah,
active?
it's still very much active.
Yeah, we don't affect their
Yeah.
bottom line as Ugandans or Africa anyway. So
So their
the response
content
is
moderation is
slow.
really bad, especially for Africa, especially for like Uganda, because I don't know, we just don't count as much, I guess. But
Bottom
it's
line,
actually
capitalism,
No, actually, I
hey?
don't know if you noticed. I think was it yesterday or 2 days back. Mickey Wine's new video.
Yes, featuring
Pretty.
She's
yeah,
a
who is 15 years
minor.
old.
She's
yeah.
15 years old, you people. And all of it is sexualizing
Yeah.
the child, you people.
and the justification.
And it's
So,
still,
you
I
had
the
was
commentary
on
around-
Twitter yesterday and it's still on right now. Everybody has made reports. They have not taken it down. Yeah. So the content moderation is actually very rubbish. No
Yeah.
offense to anybody, but no. It's really, really, really bad. And when she talked about how this violence can escalate or it can like move realms. Before, you were afraid of physical stalking because
Yeah.
when they see these days they stalk you online,
Online.
and physically. So you're gonna take a picture. Oh my God, I am at a cashier. I'm at I'm at
And they hunt you
Bistro.
down.
Yeah. And then this person is gonna follow you there. Of course, not to post like real time.
Yeah.
But even then,
You
they're
know.
still going to.
You know, not everyone does. You.
Okay,
know.
so yeah, lesson number 1: never post real time, no
Yeah.
matter what. Just make sure you post after you've left.
Yeah.
If you were at Bistro, if you were at let me say Meza, or if you're at, I don't know where people be hanging out, Latitude,
Where the cool kids be at.
right? So whatever you are, just make sure you leave first, then post, and then
Yeah.
like, I was at this place. And
Yeah.
then, but even then, it still leaves people with information of where you were, where you usually hang out.
Yeah.
And because you have left a trail of, it's impossible in the world that we live in to not leave a digital footprint. It's impossible. You're going to live.
As long as you exist
So
online. Yeah.
how stalking works is that someone's going to keep track of, this is the places they usually visit. So now they're going to start waiting for you in those places because they know the places you usually frequent. Or like
once
every
they'll get
Saturday, this
lucky.
person is like, let me say at tapas. Or
Yeah.
they're like, they hang out like every like they hang out here for drinks or cocktails. They got so they're going to start like hanging out there. So now,
Well, actually, before you guys continue, I just want you to have for the end of the show, one piece of advice you'd give a woman in regards to her safety online.
Yeah.
For the end of the show, because I think we need this conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No,
just
that's
to conclude with the issues to do with security for women in the online spaces, we see that Uganda actually, through the roadmap which was unveiled last year, one of the pillars is actually on cyber security. And under there, the government envisions, given the fact that now we have e-services, people are prone to being frauded on the online spaces and all that, they hope to put in place policies in addition to what is there, because I see they are putting in place policies to ensure that Ugandans are safer in the online spaces as well. But the issue of security basically is very key, because it prevents most women, even where they have access to their phone, they have access to the internet, the woman will fear to go into the online spaces because of the security issues that we are talking about. So we need to tighten those. We need to work with women to remind them about online safety. Why does it matter? Because you are a woman. By virtue of you being a woman, you are basically already
marginalized.
marginalized.
You already have,
Yes,
10
but
million
again, the
stereotypes
structure
against
is
you.
silent. Communities that Riza referred to. Again, we have people with disabilities. Their ability to engage
Actually-
with the online spaces.
Actually, I would like to say
When
something
we-
about the disability thing. Okay.
Yeah. So when we look at most of our technology, most of our innovations, they completely forget about an ordinary
The
person.
exclusionary.
that, you know, when we look at our innovations, how many of us have it at the back of our mind that are the people I'm innovating for are people who do not speak English? First of all, I don't know, right? Most apps are in English.
Yeah.
Who has gone that extra mile to say that actually with my app, you can click to Luganda or go to Swahili or go to Lugbara, whichever language. Even you, the Uganda innovator, the person who is innovating, are you innovating for your community? Have you recognized the people who are differently abled? Are there safety designs within your innovation that as you put it up out there, is it safe and secure for the day-to-day person to use? So it is such small things. Most of the times we forget about the tech community, the actual tech guys who sit and do the coding.
On the back end.
How have we educated them about the gender
Disparity.
yes, the gender disparities, gender in itself, so that when they are crafting whatever they are innovating, when they are coming up with those apps, they understand the people in my communities are like this, unlike us, you know, everything you want it to look like what is in the US. Who is the woman in your community? It also goes back to that, that very small detail that I am making this up. The only thing I credit telecommunications companies for is that they have tried to ensure that their services are tailored to the day-to-day person. When you call Airtel for customer services, they will tell you, do you want to in English? No, we have a person to speak to you. They have understood who their customer is. But what has happened to the tech community? We've not yet understood who our people in our communities are. So we need safe our innovations or platforms within also our communities, safety by design, so that young people, women are able to access without fear of being bullied. That in case of any form of bullying that happens in that platform, it can be taken down within a short period of time. Investigations can be done and say, oh, actually this was a violation of
Without further traumatizing the victim.
without
Victim
further
blaming?
yes. So basically we have to go back to that nitty-gritties as well. How do we bridge that divide? Let's bring people closer. Let us add languages. You know, it is important. A day-to-day woman who depends on her husband for her phone, who calls her son and be like, oh, my son, come and help me with her phone. She needs that extra help to be able to navigate the online spaces, to be able to harness the technology before her, for her to be able to sell her vegetables and be like, you know, it is that important that we use an intersectional lens while innovating, while drafting policies for that govern our technology, our digital spaces. Intersectionality is what will help us recognize the most vulnerable within our communities. And the moment we ignore that, we are just being elitist.
That's true. Yasimn, you had something to say about the disabled?
Okay, so about the disabled, actually I'm going to like merge it with what you said about language barrier and everything, because I have a live example that may be of help to us. I feel like since government is trying to move everything, all of their activities to the online you know, spaces. You have URA that's online, you have URSP that's online, you get all of like the Ministry of Public Service is online, all of yes, internal affairs, everything is online. My only problem is there's only one website that has a language option, the URA website, and it has like, I think it has like, okay, the language model is not properly made. Like I think I think I saw 3 languages. Yeah. The other languages were like, you know, global languages, but like Ugandan languages are like 3. I think I saw Acholi, I think I saw Luganda, I think I saw, you get something like that, but like it's not like, you know, vast enough considering the number of people who are going to access it since it's taxes and everything. The other websites all do not have language models, because I would think if you could do it for the URA website, you should be able to do it for the other websites. Yeah, because I did notice, I think, is it the Uganda Media website has a language model, but they're all international languages. There is
Oh.
there is no Ugandan languages. All of them are international languages. So the reason I bring this forth is because a live example would be India. India is one of the countries in the world with a huge language base.
Diversity.
Like they have, yes, they have a lot of languages, but they were having issues because their websites were all in English, and no one was like using the websites. So there was actually a public case. It's called I forget, but a public. Okay, one of the benefits, yes, a public interest case. Oh, thank you. Yes, that moment when your English starts to evaporate. Anyway, it was a public interest case on the whole matter until India had no choice but to create a guideline and ensure and enforce the language models. So they had to put, so now all of their government websites or anybody who designs a website in India is mandated to make sure that it's available in their languages. That way they can access the...
And with all our policies in Uganda, there's nothing in regards to language.
No, there is nothing. There is nothing. And you have a language diverse country.
Yeah,
and you only have like none of the websites. So if I went to URSB or if I went to Internal Affairs website and I don't speak, like I don't do English.
And actually, can I just talk about the type of English used there? Because
Right?
that's a different guy. There's some words I don't understand. And people design websites using complex languages. Even English, even as an English user, you must go and Google what does this word
mean.
or
Yes.
in the most simplified. We fail to do things in the most simplified way.
Which is one of the things that makes digital literacy very difficult, because you might teach someone how to use a device, but when they go there, they realize the entire internet is in English and they can't keep up. Because like I know how to use the phone, but now I don't know how to use the internet because it's in a language I can understand. Yeah. So on top of the whole language models for especially government websites, because at least for them they are mandated to make it understandable for all of us. Yeah. The other would be people with disabilities. Okay. So you have people who are vision impaired. If I can't see, is there an audio version that I can listen to and like respond? Yes. If I cannot, like, you get like there is a lot of options out there for the differently abled people, yeah, that are now available, especially with AI. Now that we have AI, there is text to speech. There is speech to text. If I can't, like, there's people who have no limbs, they can't use there is now speech to text. Are those options available on the websites? No, they're not. So these are all things that create that barrier, that makes it difficult. Recently, I attended UNESCO and Global Digital Inclusion Partnership. Recently did a study on different countries, because like of course people are going to be like, oh, maybe it's just Uganda. No, it's not just Uganda, because you would have to look at different jurisdictions, different countries and what they're doing. So they recently had a study in Africa. They took, I think, Uganda, they took, I think, Nigeria, they took a couple of countries, and then they did some in Asia, they did India, they did like China, they did some in South America. And it was found that these are different continents with different people, but a lot of the gender issues were standing. Yes. You have the patriarchy is still there, it's still very worldwide, and you have people like women who have to rely on them as as a girl child, as a woman. We have grown up, when you're young, you depend on your father for your bills, for when you get older, then suddenly when you get married, then it's your husband, and like this is what people have been taught, and this is the life that so this is how everything goes on. So because of that reliance, they still have issues in places where like the male figure refuses or does not see the point.
Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Yasimn. Sandra, very interesting question. I think we've talked a lot about the policies, the legal dynamics. I want to take you to, because you do work around safety. I want to take you to a police station. As a woman, when I come and I go and report that I've been harassed sexually online. I want you to tell us about the reception and then the transition of such a case, you know, from to the next level to the maybe if we get lucky and it's, you know, taken to be prosecuted. Then I want you to tell us about the judge that is, you know, listening to that case. Are they equipped? Do they understand? Is it something, we've come up with so many policies, but have we trained the people that are going to be taking step to step? Like, even the DPP, are they trained?
Very interesting question indeed. Do you know why I was laughing earlier? Because that case will never get to the judge level. It will never get to that level of having a judge actually listen in or look at it and sentence or give a verdict. Why? So the first thing is, even as society, so as women who are all potential victims, we are not equipped to
recognize and report.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the English. To recognize, first of all, that this is violence, this is harmful, especially if it happens online or if it's tech related or tech facilitated. So that's number one. So because we are unable to recognize, we don't report. Number two, recognition is one thing, naming the issue is another. So for many of us, we lump most of these online harms as cyberbullying. But cyberbullying is different from trolling. Trolling is different from doxing, stalking. It's also different from being bombed with, you know, sexual innuendos, you know, like naming the issue and saying, listen, this is my issue. I'm facing this problem.
And when you go to
number
the police
one.
station, you need to know.
And when you go to report, you need to know what you're reporting. I mean, what is the case? You can't say I was cyberbullied and then the issue is doxing. You get, like, you need to know how to name. And we are unable to name those things because we rarely have such conversations, right? Or we are rarely in spaces, we rarely have access to spaces where these conversations are being had. And therefore knowing that this is how online harms manifest or this is what they are called. Then the other issue is, the law enforcement division is not equipped, not sensitized, not aware of these issues. And this is funny because they are also among us. Like they are people of Uganda. You know, we coexist, in as much as they wear a uniform and we don't, right? But because I don't know if it's to do with law enforcement, everything, it's either black or white. Like there is no gray area. It's either this or that. And because the law doesn't take into effect that there is nuances with our lived realities, it's very hard to deal with it from a legal point. So even when I go to report that, oh, Beatrice is
You're going to report a cybercrime to a person who has never seen a computer.
Right? But also you're going to report to someone who will not validate your experience.
No, they don't
because
actually understand. They don't, like, it's not like they're like, okay, so you can't just block them? You think I would be?
Or they'll say, no, I've had an experience where the police officer was like, so Beatrice abused you on Facebook. That's all? You can meet with Beatrice and tell her why you abusing me. You know, like
like you go abuse them also. Like
you get, or if it's an issue of non-consensual sharing of intimate images, which is also disproportionately affects women. It will be like, so why were you taking the pictures in the first place? You know, so the person doesn't even validate your experience in the first place. So you don't feel comfortable even continuing the conversation because already it's just invalidated. They make you feel bad about it. You know, there's a lot of victim blaming, but it's from a point of ignorance. They are not aware. You know, they're not aware, and even those who are aware are more. My English has run. Are more interested in their law. Their power. I don't know, you know, their power and the office where they sit, as opposed to listening to your issue and understanding it. So even those who know or who might be able to understand are more interested in oh, this is a police, you know, this is a police station, you know, you can't come and tell us those things of we have limited awareness, or we will not understand. You know, they are more interested in their positions of power than listening to the issue and figuring out how they can best support you. So from the get-go, this issue will never reach the court where you need Yasimn to come and be your counsel and say, oh, you know, this is so it will never get
what's
there.
fun, even if it did get there, you have a whole justice system that also still has not handled any of these things. So one of my favorite quotes, so last year's the Global Internet Governance Forum, the judge from Tanzania, gave a very, very wonderful quote. I don't know, should I read it or like should I give you the gist?
Gist.
Okay, so the gist was, you guys, CSOs, he meant CSOs, and you guys go and policymakers, you go and make laws, and but then you forget the people who are going to implement the laws, because at the end of policy making, the last person, the last line is a justice person. Like a justice system is the last line, because it's the people who interpret. You guys are going to go make the policies that you want, and by the end of the day, the person who's going to like put that law into
action
is a judge. But his what he goes on to say is that you guys forget the justice system. You go and educate the policymakers, you make these policies, and then you forget the justice system, and then and at the end of the day, when he makes a wrong decision, you're gonna get highly offended, but it's because you never took this person into consideration. So, and because you didn't, and this person won't say they don't know, they will say, I just erred in law, and it will move on. Yes, and it will be a technicality, and everybody will move on from it. And he's like, instead of waiting for them to err in law, you need to call them to your spaces. Because I have been in a lot of engagements where they talk about online violence, they talk about digital literacy, they talk about all these legal things that need to change. There's no justice people in there. There is no judges. They have not had any conversation with like any of the, because no matter how you look at it, at the end of the day, even if this thing went all the way to court, this person has never dealt with a cybercrime in their life. How are they going to deal with something like that? And if at the end of the day, if they make a wrong decision, would you hold them like accountable for something you haven't like you haven't like given them the opportunity to learn about, to understand? So that's the problem with the legal justice system of Uganda specifically. We have a knowledge gap. The CSOs have all this information, but somehow they hoard it, and they do not they do not invite these people to the spaces. We hold these events where people and the people who learn about all these things are these elite people who already know these things. The people you're teaching these things are people I'm going to call Sandra, I'm going to call Beatrice, but these are people who already know.
But you see now also that
you guys have said.
Okay, after.
Basically, every year we get an annual crime report. And when we look at the crimes that are stated within our annual crime report, of course we shall have theft, we shall have murder, we shall have rape. All of these will be defined. When it comes to the
online,
online crimes or cyber crimes, they'll only mention fraud. They'll basically, because the fraud that happens via mobile money, all of those, you'll find computation of the number of cases that were reported, how many made it to the police station, how many made it to prosecution stage, how many got judgment. But the issue called defining online violence, the other physical violence, is being defined. But in that annual crime report, going forward, we should start seeing online violence being broken
into
down.
the different
Let us name it in our annual crime report. No matter those people who come report, and even if it doesn't make it to court, but let the first step be have people reported this nature of crime?
Are they reporting?
Why are they reporting it? Let us start to name it. At least let us name it and say, okay, this number of people did what? Reported. But
or maybe no one reported, but it will have been named.
No one has been reported. Why is that so? Is there a gap? Do we need to fix it?
So there is need there is need for us to name those various online, crimes that happen. Not only fraud that is in relation to money. let us talk about that doxing. Let us have it broken down. So meaning we have to engage more with the police to be able to understand the nuances of the online violence.
Also, like, we need to understand that it's not just bad when it happens to the president. It is also bad when it happens to the rest of us. Thank you. There's only one cyber crime that has been prosecuted in that line, and that's yes. And not even just that. There's the guy who was insulted the person of the president online. Was that it?
Who? Oh, the one from TikTok.
I don't know. Was it TikTok? Wasn't it like X? I remember like
TikTok. There's the Kabaka, and then there's someone who also insulted the person of the president, yes. Or like a family member.
They were prosecuted, and they have to pay what? Was it 100 million? 30 million? Oh, something like that. And I'm thinking, okay, fine, it's bad when you do it to the president, but it's bad when you do it to us also.
Yeah.
So it's like let's be more fair about this. Yeah, you cannot just prosecute a case because like this was specific to like a public figure. What about the rest
political,
of us?
You know.
Yeah, like because imagine if the president's case went to like the police station, and then they were like, why don't you insult them back?
Why don't you go and pull her into a room?
Yeah, right, and have a conversation. But so that's the thing also, like with selective implementation of the laws. So the laws might be, those that are there might be good on, black and white.
Depends on who you are. At the end of the day, when you go to the police station, because you see, me and you might go to the police station, but like because of my light skin, they'll like possibly pay more attention to me
more than they'll listen to me. Yeah,
I'm not any less Ugandan than she is, and she's not any less Ugandan than I am. I feel like if I walked into the police station, I'm like, I was cyberbullied, they'll be like, okay, let's take the case down. Also, sometimes you have. By the way, let's not underpin corruption, because sometimes you put a case in and the other person's gonna come and like pay up, and then the case is gonna disappear. By the way, files disappear. You people don't know about files disappearing. They're like, there's no file. Like, what do you mean there's no file? It was here yesterday.
And like the file had all your witness statements, it had your evidence, it had your story, and it will just disappear.
So what happens from there? Like the case is gone.
We live in a country of impunity, so like you choose your battles. Do you want to start afresh, or do you want to just go back to working and earning a living?
Majority of Ugandans have no faith in the justice system.
Yeah.
We have lost faith in the people who are supposed to protect us. Like when you tell someone you should go and report them, like for what? Even when they steal your phone, do you go report it?
Oh my God! Last week I was robbed. Have I been to the station yet?
No.
Absolutely, because I know they're not
Do you know when you're going to go?
They're not going to find it. They're not going to help you.
Do you know when you're going to go to the station?
When I need like
when you need the police
to make
to
the letter,
replacement, because it's semantics. Like you need it for the process,
but
not because you want justice.
Yeah, I know it's like
we have no faith. And even when they arrest this person, like 2 days later, you're gonna walk past them on the road.
Honestly, you're like, wait, I know this face.
And nothing, or more likely, the guys at the station know the person.
Thank you.
They know, oh, this is the neighbor. Oh yeah, Kakama, we know him. Like, yeah, what are we gonna do? So yeah, it's really interesting. Anyway, guys, we have come to the close of the show. But as we're closing, I would like you to do two things for me, your closing remarks. One is to tell us how we can do better. Call out any stakeholders. Give us like, we've noticed the gaps now. What can we do better as individuals? Yeah. And then I'll bring you back to what I said earlier. One safety tip you have, especially for the young women out there who are gonna be online. It's, as a young person, there's stuff that I've learned in this space. There's stuff that I've learned by God's grace or by accident, and I don't want that for the other ladies watching this show or the other gentlemen. I'll start with Sandra, moving to Yasimn, then close with Beatrice.
All right. So a safety tip or tips that I might give to a young woman out there. Number one is don't give out information unless it's specifically requested for. And this especially goes for our social media platforms. You know, we willingly give out information like our location, who we are with. You tag your friends, you tag your tribe. You know, we post about, for those who have pets or children, you post about their whereabouts, you post about where you stay, like your apartment, your home, and that is all information that someone can maliciously use to harm you, either to bully you online, to stalk you online, offline, to use your likeness with AI, generative image generative software, you know, or so don't give out information unless it's absolutely necessary. For social media platforms, you don't have to sign up with your government names. You can use like Princess someone. Yeah, but then also like I think we already talked about this, but really don't connect to public Wi-Fi. Because you don't know who else on that network is mining your information for malicious purposes or for, you know, ransom, identity theft, whatever it might be. So if you're connecting to public Wi-Fi, make sure your VPN is turned on. If you must connect to public Wi-Fi, especially airport Wi-Fi, hotel Wi-Fi,
I'm guilty.
please don't connect unless you absolutely have to, and turn on your VPN. So that's just one thing, because sometimes, many times when I'm talking to people, they say, oh, but we have nothing to hide. Like, I'm just connecting to check my WhatsApp, to, you know, but actually data is the new gold. Data is the new, it's the new currency, it's the new money-making thing. So make sure that you're protecting your data at all costs. Then the other thing, in conclusion, bridging the digital divide is all hands on deck. It can't just be civil society, it can't just be government, it can't just be big tech, it can't just be, you know, my sibling, right? It needs to be all hands on deck. If there is something that you can do to bridge the divide, please do it. If it's about literacy, raise those literacy levels for whoever you can. If it's about sharing information online that you know is going to help someone, please do that. If you have access to spaces of big tech, you know, X, Google, IBM, whoever, and you're in those spaces, make a case for us Africans, make a case for us Ugandans, let our voices be heard, because access is a fundamental issue and everyone needs to be connected. In the digital era that we are in now, everyone must be connected.
Okay, thank you so much, Yasimn.
What am I supposed to say after that?
I know, I was stumped. Go ahead.
Okay, so
We have
let
faith
me
in you.
see. For me, one, in addition to what you said about information, you know, there's these links they like to send for you. You will get like free money. I don't know when.
Free data,
Yes.
free money.
They like to send these funny links. First of all, if it sounds too good to be true,
It
that's
is
because
too good
it
to
is.
be true.
Like, okay, so don't click the links. One, they don't work. Two, this is how people are going to like get your information. This is how people get what's it called? They hack your phone, yeah, through these links, and this is how you end up with people like having your WhatsApp or whatever, and someone is messaging other people. So don't click the links. They look nice, but leave them alone. Two, one of the things I want to tell people is, if you need the help, get the help. Yeah, don't be scared, because one of the things I've had to like I was dealing with recently, like I was in an in-hope summit recently, and one of the things we talked about was sextortion and the fear that comes with the whole situation, because you remember, this person is blackmailing you. They have your intimate images and they're like, if you don't give me money, I'm going to post them all over the place. Get help. You would rather, the thing with blackmail is it operates on fear. The more afraid you are, the more successful it is. Yeah, get help. I would rather my mom smacks me, because as an African mom, I know she's gonna beat me. Yeah, but we deal with the situation. You understand? Because how long are you going to keep paying this person to keep your image? Get help. Yeah, even if it's okay, if you're scared of people at home, get someone you trust to help you, because I feel like one of the things we ignore in this whole safety is to tell people that it's okay to ask for help. Yeah, it's okay to report it to somebody, because you're obviously not the only person they're doing this to. So you would rather deal with it now than let it escalate into something worse, because we have had situations where it was like one image, that because it's like they ask for more images, they're like, if you don't, like, you need to send more, and now it's coercion. You get, so yeah. Also, for people out there, my one thing would be, stop victim blaming. You don't understand what someone has gone through to get where they were. You don't understand the situation that they were in when, maybe say, the images were taken. Sometimes images look like they were consensual when they were not. There's people who like There's people who record sexual activity when they didn't tell you. Yeah. So for you, you were having a good time with your partner, but they were recording and they didn't inform you. And then suddenly there's this, and someone's like, "Who told you to record it?" I'm like, "Did I know it was being recorded? I didn't know it was being recorded." So like for me, it's a violation. So people need to stop victim blaming. Yeah, it's a bad thing. It's out there. Fine, let's deal with it. You understand? Help people overcome some of these things. So for me, it would be more in the line of help people, don't criticize them. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Yasimn. Beatrice, closing us for the day.
Yes, thank you so much. To close the divide, basically as governments, I know this is going to go to different people. As governments, I know all our services are now online, and sometimes these services require us to have national ID. And let's improve access to the national identification so that the people within our communities are able to get within the online spaces. You can't get a phone, rather you can't get a SIM card without
a national ID or
Bank
passport.
account.
a bank account. I can't even register a company without a national ID. I can't, basically a national ID. Can we roll out the IDs to the people?
Make the
Let them
process
be-
a lot
yes.
simpler. Because I know it's so
Let them be
complicated.
available to the people, because they do need them. They need to get into the online spaces to be able to access the very services that you've put up.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for a day-to-day Ugandan to go through all that hassle. They fail to access even the mere services, like the minute services. Where is the dignity? Dignity of the Ugandans. Then the other
Police stations are super national.
issue could go still to government, still extending fiber optics within the rural areas. The last time the minister noted that the Uganda was working on ensuring that the fiber is extended within the community. Let it be faster and let it so to ensure that people are connected within the online spaces, because still when we look at the national IT survey that was done in 2022, it showed that in as much as there was a little bit of fiber or cable within the communities, it's only 29% of the people within that distance of that fiber were able to access internet and be active on the online spaces. So we need more, and we need more, I don't know, to be extended within infrastructure to be extended within the national IT backbone, whatever that it is. The broadband policy. We need fair competitions within the telecommunication
Oh
companies.
my God,
so
their
that
rates are ridiculous.
Right? We need. You
Ridiculous.
can't,
Last for like 5 seconds.
we can't
Ridiculous,
buy
actually.
MBs at a cheaper price. And then basically it is all messed up. So we need that policy within place so that it gives us fair competition, and also to ensure that Ugandans are able to afford the internet. They're able to, to harness whatever is around for better, lives, to ensure that they have the economic growth that you want them to enjoy. The young people who are using the online spaces for trade, so that they're able to enjoy the very same spaces. For me, those were targeted messages, because I know for us to build the divide still, we need the multi-stakeholder approach, like Reza mentioned. Then the tip that I'd have for the young people out there on how to stay safe within the online spaces is basically, have strong passwords. That is one of the things that I could say.
It sounds very easy, but it's
Simplistic,
actually
no,
it's a very, very important thing. People don't actually understand why it's so important to have a strong password.
Yeah. So you could basically do, the 12 characters they tell you, but if you're unable to use a passphrase, I am going where? Who will ever guess that?
This is true.
You can use passphrases because they are easier to remember compared to those so many characters. Then you have to log into your WhatsApp. You know, people have
different
passwords
password for
usually
a different-
everywhere.
For different
So
accounts.
then, due to the fact that technology is everywhere, we have
Password
managers. You can download one. I'll not advertise for them. You can
We have not paid you.
yeah. You can download one and then you can manage your passwords from within. But make sure it's also updated. You see, when issues of updating software alone,
Yeah.
Yeah.
hackers take advantage of that small loophole. You've not been updating your apps, and then before you know it, you're being hacked.
Yeah.
So those simple steps, digital hygiene is very important for us, both on our phones, on our computers, because just a small gap, your information is gone, everything is gone, and you have to start afresh. You can't get it back. Sometimes people will ask you for money, but no, it starts as simple as you, before you go to the complexities of encryption or whatever, start with you having
Strong password.
strong password, digital hygiene, update your apps every now and then. Remove those apps that you're not using. There are those idle apps that you have. They be collecting information. Again, the apps that you download, restrict them to how much of your information they can access. You know, they give you, can I track your location?
Your
Can-
contacts,
no,
your this.
your contacts. No, you can restrict. Read those settings. Go to the settings. Take off the time, because this is a matter of life and death. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay then. Thank you so much, ladies. This has been a phenomenal conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the close of our conversation. I am very grateful to you for staying with us, though I know you couldn't resist. In regards to this has been a conversation that is pertinent to each and every one of our lives. I hope you've picked up something, but at the bottom line, I request that we all hold ourselves accountable before we go and hold the next person accountable. With the way you're treating someone else online, with the way you're handling your digital footprint, educate yourself, learn, be open to learning, ask for help, as has been said. Whether it be asking for help once you've been victimized, or it is asking for help before you've been victimized. We don't know all, but we can know as much as we can. Hold ourselves accountable. Hold those with the power to make a change accountable. Hold your governments accountable. Hold your telecommunications companies accountable. You do have stakes in them as a recipient of their services. You do have stakes in them. So, ladies and gentlemen, in regards to this conversation, we can get where we want to be in regards to the digital divide in this nation, if we all take a significant step in seeing this through. Thank you so much. Have a great afternoon. My name is Turiho Danita. I have been your host.